Taking Sides by Gary Soto, Chapter 1. Tony, Lincoln Mendoza whispered into the telephone. It's your buddy, Link. Link? My homeboy moved to the good side of town, Tony Contreras answered sleepily. It was 7:15 Thursday morning. The rising sun hurled a spear of light through Lincoln's kitchen window. His dog, Flacco, lay still, bathing in the warm rays, his ribs slowly rising and falling. His mother was in the shower singing along with the radio. Be serious, Essay. We're playing you next Tuesday, Lincoln said, moving the receiver from one hand to the other. There was a pause and the squeak of bed springs. Tony was sitting up. Do you know what time it is? It's early, hombre. It's still dark. Not if you open your eyes. It's time to crack those books, Lincoln said. Books? Yeah, I'm gonna crack 'em over my little brother's head, the menso. He spilled a soda on my bed. Leave him alone. He's just a punk, Lincoln said, then changed the subject back to basketball. It's going to be weird playing Franklin for real. Lincoln was a star basketball player, tall but not thin. When he made a fist, his forearm tightened with muscles. His stomach was muscle, his legs muscle. His face was brown, like coffee laced with cream, and his hair black as a chunk of asphalt. People said he was handsome, but Lincoln wasn't really sure. He had moved from the Mission District of San Francisco, an urban barrio, to Sycamore, a pleasant suburban town with tree-lined streets. His mother had gotten tired of yanking open her drapes to see rundown Chevys and fender-buckled Ford Torinos bleeding black oil. Tired of the ghetto blasters shouldered by shirtless vatos. Tired of jackhammers cutting up the street early in the morning. Tired of the number 43 bus leaving shreds of black smoke hovering in the dank city air. It was time to get out, she said one day when she came home from work and found her planter box tipped over, her Snapdragon stomped, and her small Victorian flat ransacked. The window screen was slashed and the TV and stereo were gone. Left in their place were a couple of crushed beer cans and cigarette butts. So, they had moved to a small 2-bedroom house with a yard and a mulberry tree whose fruit left purple splotches on the sidewalk. Lincoln was now an 8th grader. The move was a voyage of 10 miles south from San Francisco to a place where the better homes stood in the sunlight of wealth and sent Lincoln from Franklin Junior High to Columbus Junior High. How are those vatos at school? Lincoln asked. Okay. Are they mad at me? ¿Por qué? You know, moving away. Like my new school, playing you vatos. Tony groaned. You kidding? No one's mad. If we had money, we'd get out too. That's what you think. This place is dead. No one ever comes out of the house to check out the world. Yeah, but that's the problem here. No one stays home. There's cop sirens every night. Then Tony asked, how's Flacco? Mom said he got hit. Flacco's working on 3 legs. He's okay. Lincoln turned to Flacco, snapped his fingers, and asked, You're cool, huh, Flacco? Flacco raised his head and looked at Lincoln. His left leg was a balloon of bandages from a hit-and-run motorcycle accident. He lowered his head slowly and went back to sleep. Lincoln and Tony talked about school, friends, fights behind backstops, Lincoln's ex-girlfriend Vicky, and basketball, which they now played for different schools. Lincoln heard the shower stop and the curtain pull back. I wish I could be smashing the boards for your school. Your uniforms are sweet looking, Tony said. Anyway, you guys are in first and we're next to last. For me, it's the other way around, Lincoln said. I'd rather be playing for Franklin, not Columbus. There's no brown people here. Everyone's white except for one black dude on the team. And our coach is a nasty dude. He's got trouble inside his head. In the bedroom, a hairdryer began wearing. Maybe you can come over Saturday, Tony asked. Play some hoop or something. I guess, but I gotta go now. Check you later. Lincoln hung up and poured a small pile of dog food onto the floor, prompting Flacco to drag himself to his crunchies. Then he got himself a glass of milk and fixed some toast, which he chewed thoughtfully while looking at pictures of Egypt in his geography book. He admired the Sphinx, basking forever under the hot sun, and marveled at the Nile, a dark river that seemed to oppose gravity by flowing north. He looked closely at a camel driver, smiling into the camera. The camel driver's teeth were rotted and his face was lined from working in the sun. He closed the book when his mother came into the kitchen, her face flushed from a hot shower. She was rubbing lotion into the backs of her hands. "Mijo, you have to eat more than toast," she said, tying her robe tighter. "¿Quieres un huevo? You want an egg?" "I'm not hungry," he said. "We're playing Franklin next Tuesday. Can you come?" "I'll see." She made herself a cup of coffee, joined Lincoln at the table, and opened her glossy appointment book. "I may be home late that day," she said, scribbling a note to herself. "No sé, mijo." "You're working hard, huh, Mom?" "Yeah, I'm working like crazy." His mother was a graphic artist who for 10 years had worked from an advertising firm in San Francisco. She was now her own boss. She had started a business, at first named after herself, Beatrice Mendoza Graphics. Later, she settled on calling it On the Line Graphics, a fancier name. Her business accounts were strong from the start and getting better, with 6 clients in computer-rich Silicon Valley. "Come on, Mom," he begged. "Just this once. It's Franklin we're playing." "Wipe your mouth. It has milk on it," she said. She closed her book, sipped from her Have a Nice Day coffee cup, and said she would try, but couldn't promise. Lincoln wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. He got up from his chair and caught Flacco, who rose slowly, wagging his tail. They went outside to the front yard. The sun linked through the neighbor's eucalyptus tree, whose top swayed from a wind that seldom touched ground. A leaf fluttered to the lawn, and Lincoln picked it up and sniffed it. He liked the smell and crushed the leaf in his palm. He watched the neighbors, most of them dressed in suits, start off to their jobs in BMWs, Saabs, and Volvos with their private school sons and daughters in the back seats. Lincoln and a basketball friend were the only kids on the block who went to Columbus Junior High, the public school. He thought of waving to one of the cars as it passed, but he only looked and kicked the dry gravel at his feet. When he had arrived in the new neighborhood, Lincoln had liked the peacefulness of sprinklers hissing on green lawns and the sycamores that lined the street. He liked the splashes of flowers and neatly piled firewood. He liked the hedges where jays built scrawny nests and bickered when cats slithered too close. The people seemed distant, but that was fine with him. It was better than the loud cars that raced up and down his old block. It was better than littered streets and graffiti-covered walls that called out Consafos and F-14. Now, 3 months later, Lincoln was having second thoughts. He missed his old school and its mural of brown, black, and yellow kids linking arms in friendship. He had liked Franklin Junior High, tough as it was with its fights in the hallways and in the noisy cafeteria. He had liked the walk among brown faces and stand. He had liked to walk among brown faces and stand with the Vietnamese and Korean kids. He missed his friends, especially his number one man, Tony Contreras, who had known forever, even before first grade when Tony accidentally knocked out Lincoln's front baby teeth going down the slide. He missed Vicky. They had parted on bad terms, but Lincoln felt that if he could speak with her, everything would turn okay. 3 weeks ago, he had played against his old school in a non-league basketball game, and he had scored 12 points and made 5 rebounds and 3 assists. Columbus had whipped Franklin, and he felt bad for his old school. He felt bad at how most of the guys from Franklin wore Kmart sneakers while Columbus team members squeaked about the court in Air Jordans. It's not fair, he thought, but what can I do? Lincoln looked down at his watch, 7:45. He was about to go back inside when he saw James, his basketball friend, a second stringer at Columbus. James hurried across the street, 2 donuts in hand. "Lincoln, where are your shoes?" Lincoln looked down at his rubber thongs. His big toe was purple from the time he dunked the ball and came down hard. "Hey, James," Lincoln said. James raised his donut as if to ask, "Want some?" Lincoln thought of basketball practice as he tore off a piece of donut and chewed it slowly, the sweet grit of sugar between his teeth. "What's your dog's name again?" James asked. "Rocco?" "No, dude, Flacco." They were silent for a moment as they watched her breath hang in the winter air. James asked, "What does Flacco mean?" "Skinny." James gave the rest of the donut to Flacco and said, "He doesn't look skinny to me." "That's because he likes donuts." James licked his fingers, wiped them on his pants, and said, "We play your old school again, don't we?" "Yeah," Lincoln said. He wished James hadn't brought it up. He pictured his friends from Franklin wildly stomping their feet in the bleachers and screaming, "Vendido!" at him, the former homeboy. He pictured Coach Ramos throwing himself into a folding chair, his hands covering his tired face. He felt like a traitor. They stood in silence, looking at Flacco, rolling his tongue over his mouth. Grains of sugar spotted his black nose. When he heard his mother calling, Lincoln said he had to go. He and Flacco raced up the steps, and James walked away, leaving shoe prints on the wet lawn. "I'm late already," his mother said, brushing her hair roughly in front of the hallway mirror. "I've got to get to San Jose by 9. Lincoln poured himself another glass of milk, drank quickly with an eye on the clock, and for a split second watched a hummingbird at the kitchen window pause and dart from the feeder without drinking. "I'm going to be at a basketball practice," Lincoln said. His mother, searching frantically for her keys in her purse, didn't look up as she said, "Have fun." Fun, Lincoln thought. That's a new way of putting it. While Flacco lounged in the puddle of sunlight that had moved from the kitchen floor to the living room, Lincoln put on his shoes, brushed his teeth, and combed his hair in front of the full-length mirror on his closet door. He waved to his mom, who was juggling 2 briefcases and a plastic tube of drawings. She smiled at him and said, "Bye, mijo. Don't forget to peel some papas when you get home."